Hello again, Bob Boyne with Trident here with another video in our ongoing series related to BlackLine. Today we're going to zoom in on bank reconciliation, a key activity for any organization. You've got to reconcile the underlying GL transactions processed within your organization related to cash to that of what comes through from the bank. So some ERPs have inbuilt functionality that, whether it be manually or even in some cases automatically, it can reconcile those transactions for your organization. But for many organizations we speak to, this isn't something they're able to achieve within the realm of their inbuilt ERP functionality. BlackLine has a solution called transaction matching. It can be used for a variety of different use cases, and we'll talk about some of those use cases in future videos. But one of the most frequent things we see it utilized for is for bank reconciliation. Whether that's a simple bank reconciliation like that of an ERP to bank, or what we call advanced bank reconciliation. This is where we can start to introduce all sorts of additional data to improve the degree of automation that we're able to get relative to something that might be handled in your ERP today. So let's jump in and have a look at advanced bank reconciliation.
All right. So what I've got up on screen here is that simple bank rec process. And this is something BlackLine can deal with. And as I mentioned, depending on the ERP you're utilizing, might be something you do today in your ERP. So you bring your bank transactions in, you bring your GL transactions in, and you use a rules-based process to match off your one-to-one, your many-to-many, looking for shared characteristics of data that agree. But unfortunately for some organizations, the bank rec is not as simple as this. So, and a lot of this that I often find has to do with the level in which data is being summarized at. So what I mean by that is, if I take a bank statement for some customers today, they've got batch transactions sitting on that bank side. And a similar thing could be happening on the GL side, where there's some degree of batching going on. And to be able to complete your bank reconciliation, you've always got to go back to some sort of other data source where it's got the more detailed version of those transactions. So, retail customers, this is something that I often see. Insurance customers would be another organization where I frequently see this, but it can be broadly applicable to all sorts of different organizations. So, advanced bank reconciliation is really where we start to incorporate those other data sources into this matching process. So if you think in Excel terms of like a find and replace, ultimately we're replacing that summary level detail within your bank transaction side with some data source that has the detail that underpins that. So if you think of payment gateways like PayPal or Afterpay, you're getting settlement payments in your bank side, we can now start to bring in that detail. So you're able to match off that. Or if you're using things like BPoint and BPay, those are other solutions where there's batching that's occurring before it's hitting the bank. Similarly, if we think of the other side of the coin here, the GL side, Shopify, a POS system, an insurance policy platform, all examples of systems that we would have had experience with, where we've got that detail level transaction sitting somewhere else. And to be able to do your reconciliation, you need to go back to that. Because if we think of these summary level transactions, all it takes is one transaction to not go through and not clear, and the matching process falls down. So lots of organizations, when I explain this to, don't even know that this is possible. They're sitting there doing their bank rec in their ERP just between bank statement and GL, and then having to go back and still do all these Excel workings for all these other data sources. Well, that's not the way it needs to be. We can start to incorporate all those things in BlackLine to automate that process. And the solution that we have for an organization, organization A to organization B is always going to be a little bit different depending on the subsystems you have on either side, or maybe it's only one side. But the concept is very similar. And this can actually be utilized for things outside of just bank reconciliation. I mean, bank rec is, as I mentioned, the example that almost every organization can relate to. But if I think of transaction matching, what are the use cases? Here's a bunch of different areas that we can see this sort of process utilized. So that's our video today, just covering off, advanced bank reconciliation and what is possible within BlackLine. So thanks very much.